Well, guys, it's about that time again. It is time to start discussing some more future DLCs. Now, we're going to discuss one of the ones that is probably the most prevalent in the community right now, and that one is the Aviary pack. Now, if you guys are new here, welcome. My name is Leaf. It's really awesome to have you guys here. If you're returning, welcome back. And if you're one of my longtime fans, I really do appreciate you stopping by. So we're just going to jump right into it by talking about JWE2. Now, listen, I know Nick is going to kill me if I talk about JWE2 again, but you know what? I don't care. I love it. And I love it specifically for aviaries alone. So I'm sure all of you guys have seen the Pteranodon aviaries and the Dimorphodon aviaries and all the news that's popped up in regards to that. That has a very important correlation with Planet Zoo, I would say. So, because Jurassic World Evolution 2 is being, I would say, sponsored by Universal, not really sponsored by, but it's being supported by Universal. Universal essentially commissioned Frontier to develop Jurassic World Evolution 2, and for that they get a lot more money, a lot more resources in order to provide, you know, basically the dream game that Universal wants from their Jurassic Park brand. So, with that being said, you get a bunch of developers being paid to work on aviary mechanics for a game that runs on the same engine as their other Planet Zoo game, well, obviously Planet Zoo game, as their other animal simulation game. And you would be led to believe that there's a lot of crossover when you look at the files. In fact, being a modder myself, I would say there is a ton of crossovers, so much so to the point that you could probably, if you try hard enough, bring mechanics from JWE over to Planet Zoo, even bringing mechanics from Planet Coaster over to Planet Zoo. What does this all have to do with birds? Well, I'll tell you. Aviary building mechanics could be a huge possibility for Planet Zoo. And it would be kind of like the same way that Jurassic World Evolution does it, but with a lot more freeform to it, I would at least imagine. So they already have the resources to make predetermined aviaries, and the way that I imagine it, it's going to be within like a predetermined box. Probably not the same as exhibit boxes, but it'll be a lot more freeform from how I see. So a lot like the fence building mechanic, and these would also be able to introduce walkthrough habitats as well, sort of like the ones we can already develop in the game. I feel like that'd be a very, very strong possibility to have when it comes to a new feature for the game. And now, speaking of new features, I do want to bring another one up before we actually get into the animal rosters themselves. Nick and I were working through this along with Trico. If you guys haven't seen their channels, definitely go check them out. I Am the Line Rider and Trico Art. Go check them out. They're very, very awesome creators, both very unique in their own styles. But with that being said, one of the new mechanics that I feel like would be a headliner in this pack would be ambassador animals. Now, we already have the educator, and I feel like this would pretty much work on the same level as that, except you would have a lot more animal staff functionality. So you would have predetermined animals who the animal ambassador keepers could go to the exhibit boxes or the habitats. They could box them up. They can bring them to the educator standpoint. Probably not the same as the animal talk point. It might function as a completely different item, but they would go there and they would actually have both keepers interact with that item as well as the animals. So the animals that I think from the base game / DLCs that would work pretty well in here would be the binturong, the snakes, the iguanas, and some of the reptiles like the skink, like the reptiles. Yeah, that's pretty much it. But yeah, I feel like those would make themselves really well. If you guys have ever seen Sims 3, this is going to be really specific, but the Sims 3 Pets expansion, there was a little bit of a bird aviary, or kind of like a bird perch that came with that pack. And I feel like the animal education talk point, no, what am I talking about? The animal ambassador talk point would look a lot like that. So you would have binturongs climbing on that. You would have them having like, you know, specific animation with the keepers and stuff like that. If you guys have ever played Zoo Tycoon 3, listen, I know a lot of people don't like it. I personally love it. It's such a chill game. But if you guys have ever played that, Frontier is absolutely proven to themselves and to all of us that they can do such amazing animations And I don't know, I just feel like they could really introduce a lot of those into this little feature over here. And of course, this would go hand in hand with a lot more animals for future possibilities. So let's just say in the future, we get a sloth or an armadillo or a cockatoo. They would be able to implement themselves into the animal ambassador sort of program slash education feature, I guess. Yeah, that's words that I'm kind of stringing together. I have a rough script in front of me. I'm sorry, guys. But yeah, I feel like that would be a worthwhile feature. But you know what? Let's bring it back into the aviary. So let's talk about the animals. Now I have two rosters over here. I have the ideal roster and I have the realistic roster, because we know how much Frontier loves to play with our hearts. So I have one that has 16 animals on it. And because birds are a lot more smaller, because birds are, you know, you can't have an aviary pack and only introduce like 4 birds. That'll leave a lot to be wanted by the community. Kind of like an aquatic pack with no aquatic animals, am I right? But anyways, we're just going to jump right into it. Number 1 on the list is a Toko toucan. Absolutely iconic animal. It is such a beautiful, beautiful bird. It has some beautiful plumage. I'm going to say that about every single one of these animals, am I? But yeah, it's a South American rep, along with our next one, which would be the scarlet macaw. Now, the scarlet macaw, very, very iconic, very bright, very beautiful. They talk, they make interesting noises. I just think they'd be really awesome. Next, the African gray parrot. Very iconic animal as well. It's one of the smartest birds around. I feel like that would make it stay very well within this little pack. As well as budgies slash the common parakeet. Now, budgies, they are probably going to be the smallest animal in this pack that I'm kind of like developing. They're perfect for walkthrough aviaries. People love to go into like these places and feed them. They have like the little nuts on a stick or whatever. I feel like they are one of the most iconic small aviary birds out there, and I feel like they would make themselves at home, especially with the whole aviary building mechanic that I mentioned before. I feel like that'd be really insane to have, as well as the hyacinth macaw. Now, the hyacinth macaw is making its splash, I would say, within the zoo scene recently. I have not gone to a single zoo that does not have these damn birds. They are beautiful, and you know what? I don't really blame zoos for having them so often. They're very bright, they're very beautiful, they have a lot of different colors going on. The main ones are blue and yellow. I just think they're absolutely beautiful birds. Gotta have them. Next would be the bald eagle. Of course, we gotta have our American representation in here. They're beautiful, everyone wants them, even the Europeans, which, you know, take care, guys. But in addition to that, the laughing kookaburra would be our next one up on the list. It is a beautiful, iconic Australian animal, and I feel like a lot of people would love that one, especially because of its call. Like, one of the important things I want to mention with this DLC is audio. And Frontier constantly knocks it out of the park with audio design, with sound design, and all that stuff. And I feel like having all these additions to the pack that make iconic noises would be it would be instrumental in making this one of the best packs ever. And I just want Frontier to understand that audio is going to be one of the best experiences when it comes to aviaries. But with that being said, we're going to move on to our only non-flying aviary animal, just because I did want to add some variety in here, and because these guys are common in general aviaries, the helmeted guinea fowl. Alright, now I know it can't really fly, I know they're big chunky birds, but hear me out. They are a perfect addition. They're small, but they're extremely common in like large African hoofstock sections, as well as general aviaries, so I believe that would make it stay in a very, very iconic sense. Plus, they're beautiful. I love the patterning on these guys. After that, we have the great hornbill. It is from India, I believe. I could be entirely mistaken. I could be thinking of the Indian hornbill. But no, these guys are bright yellow and black. I just love them. They're very, very iconic. They're huge, actually. Probably one of the biggest ones in the pack. But I don't know. I just feel like they would make themselves at home in this one. And next on number 10 is the Scarlet Ibis. Of course, you guys know how much I love Bongo's mod for the Scarlet Ibis. I think it is absolutely beautiful, and I feel like we need an official one. Bongo, you know I love you, but we gotta get the wings on these boys. But yeah, I feel like these guys would be absolutely amazing, especially because it would fuel a lot more of the American roster, which, you know, we're kind of lacking right now. Moving on, we also have the brown pelican. Now, of course, we need some seabirds in here, and I'm kind of kicking myself in the butt for not including a puffin on this list, but the brown pelican would be an impressive animal in here nonetheless. Actually, this is the biggest animal, even though I just said the great horned bull. Whoops. But yeah, the brown pelican would make it stay very well, especially with like all the aquatic decor that came in the aquatic pack. I feel like that would be really, really amazing to have. And, you know, they're just really, really cool birds. I don't know. Next would be the California condor. So I know a lot of you guys know that Frontier has had some nice close ties with the San Diego Zoo. And the San Diego Zoo was one of the zoos that was instrumental in getting the California condor back from extinction, actually, and just basically helping to repopulate the species. So that'd be a really great homage to have towards San Diego Zoo. And I know Frontier has had, like, you know, a lot of elements that have come directly from the San Diego Zoo, specifically with, like, a lot of their wall art and stuff like that. So I feel like that'd be an insane addition to have. Next, we're getting into a little bit more niche animals. So next we have the Bali Myna. Now, the Bali Myna is relatively extremely common in zoos, which I never noticed before. But it's just a small white and blue bird. And it's just so beautiful. It has a little bit of blue, but it's mostly white. I feel like it is such a bright addition to the roster that I feel like it would be absolutely amazing to have. Like, I don't know, it's a Southeast Asian animal. It would make itself at home very nicely. I'm a big fan of them. Next, though, we have a little bit of a South American treat. We have the sun bittern. Now, the sun bittern, it's a little bit more different of an animal. It's more like, it's not really describable. I don't know. You guys can look at the picture that I'm throwing up for it, but they're really cool looking animals. I'm a really big fan of them, and I feel like they'd make themselves at home right in this pack extremely well. Also, number 15, we have a little bit of an odd choice. I have noticed that not too many people have brought this one up, even though they are more wild than anything, the pileated woodpecker. Now, I feel like this would be a really, really insane animal to have, especially because I love the shape of them. They're just like a bunch of Doritos stapled together. They're just a bunch of triangles. But just getting some more temperate animals in here would be insane to have. Like, I keep on saying insane. It'd be extremely useful to have because we keep on seeing all these aviary packs with tropical animals. What happened to all the love for our temperate animals? And speaking of that, we have the mandarin duck. It is a very hardy species. I feel like it can make itself at home anywhere. It is such a beautiful, beautiful duck. I feel like that'd be insane to have. Now that's it. That is all 16. I'm a very big fan of all of those, but of course we need to tone it down a little bit more, and we kind of need to bring ourselves back in. So we're going to go for a little bit more of a realistic roster, one that Frontier would be proud to have. So of course this one would start off with the Toko toucan, the scarlet macaw. Both, I mentioned before, are very iconic aviary animals, and of course we need to have them. But moving on from that, we have the Andean condor. Now the Andean condor, it's our South America rep. We need some more like large birds of prey, so I feel like that'd be really good to have. Especially with the bald eagle, I feel like those two would make themselves at home with, like, you know, being the large, kind of like scary looking birds. But moving on, I still want a pelican, guys, so let's go for the Australian pelican. It's a lot more brighter than the brown pelican, but I don't know. I just like the species diversity in these lists, so I hope you guys do too. I hope it opens your eyes to like the possibilities that we could have in this pack. But moving on, the blue-winged kookaburra. Now this one, it's a lot more brighter than the laughing kookaburra. It's just, I don't know, I just like the bright additions when it comes to a smaller pack like this. It packs more of a punch. And moving on from that, we have the mallard duck. I know I just said it packs a lot more of a punch than we go for one of the most underwhelming picks I could have ever chosen. But you know what? The mallard duck is an iconic species, and having waterfowl in the game, it'd be amazing to have, especially for like children's zoos and stuff like that. And for fleshing out larger zoo areas, I feel like that'd be really great to have. And of course, we're going to end it on the barn owl. Now, the owls are a very unique species that I would like to have. They mostly don't really do anything, but I feel like they would still be really great to have nonetheless. I feel like the barn owl is one of the most iconic and one of the most striking of all the bird species, so I feel like that'd be really awesome to have. Now, one last thing that I want to get into you guys with, we're going to do one last thing. So the last thing that I suggest is new transportation / building. Now you guys might be saying, Leaf, what the heck do you mean? Transportation and building together? You're insane. But no, hear me out with this one. I believe that one of the best things that we could add is an elevator, especially for an aviary pack. So when you guys think of aviaries, a lot of the times when I go into aviaries, they often have like kind of taller sections, elevated sections, I should rather say. And I just feel like that'd be an insane thing to have, considering that, you know, we don't really have that many things that cater towards people who have like a little bit of disabilities, a little bit of mobility issues and stuff like that. So I feel like Frontier would be out of their minds to not include this feature. The way that I see it, just for example, hear me out, it'd work the same as like, you know, just plop down a trade center, if you will. Hear me out with this one. Plop down a trade center, hold shift, and put one up like however tall you need it to be. Probably like at least 4 to 6, 8 meters taller than where your original one was. You link them together, and then guests can choose to go to whatever floor they want, and then you can have them go on elevated walkways without having to go upstairs or ramps. I feel like that would be an insane system to have. I feel like that would be an easy system to have. It would just basically function as a teleport, which already happens with the guest spawner. So I feel like that'd be a very, very awesome system to have, especially for an aviary pack where you're going to want to build up in the trees, up elevated and stuff like that. Plus, it would be really good to introduce within the base game and stuff like that. But, you know, that's my whole spiel. Thank you guys for watching. I really do appreciate you guys sticking around. Definitely do let me know your picks. Let me know your picks. Let me know your 16 picks. Let me know your 8 picks. I just want to hear them all. Give me all your picks. But thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. If you guys enjoyed this one, be sure to drop a like, maybe drop a subscribe if you can. We're so close to 3,000, and I would love you guys forever if you guys get me there. And then we're just gonna be on there from there. So, alright, Leaf is done stalling. I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care, and enjoy the rest of your day. Bye-bye now.